What if it rained food? What if Earth was a cube? What if we had 9 lives? What if bits could fly? It's absurd. If money grew on trees, if we didn't have knees, if we walked through life slightly magnetical, it's absurd. Absurd Hypotheticals.
Hello everybody and welcome to Absurd Hypotheticals, the show where we overthink dumb questions so you don't have to. I'm your host Marcus Lehner, and I'm joined here today by Chris Yee and Ben Storms. Say hi guys.
Hey, I'm Chris.
Hey, I'm Ben.
Today we have a super exciting grab bag episode. We've been doing more of these lately, but instead of all of us answering one singular question, we are all going to answer a different question on a particular theme. And our theme this week is long. It's just long.
It's the best we could do.
Yep.
It is not a theme that is long, as it is not made up of a lot of words. It's just the theme is long.
Usually it's like animals or like space or something like that. This time it's long.
Just as long. That's it.
Yeah, usually a noun. It's usually a noun is what it normally is.
Our theme is length. Nailed it.
Ben, why don't you start us off with your question to kind of give us an idea of what it means to be long.
Sure. I like that you could have probably explained it yourself. You're just going to make me do it instead. So this is kind of an homage to, we've done a few questions where we generally will have us like something. How do
Sorry,
I say
wasn't
this?
asking you to
Doesn't
explain the how it works. I was asking you to start your question.
I know. I figured I
As
could
an
explain how it
example.
works. I know.
We have done a lot of questions similar to these questions that we're doing. We group them together.
Exactly. I just wanted to codify that for the audience. That yes, this is similar to our what if we got an inch taller, or what if our arms got longer, things like that. We just didn't think that any of these questions were worth 3 full answers, so we're doing 3 of them at the same time.
You mentioned the arms though, and yours is...
Well, yeah, I took what if your legs grew 1 inch every month, which apparently... So I think the main reason this one couldn't be its own episode was just that we'd already done getting taller in our first episode, as I mentioned, and there's a lot of overlap there. Because really all you can do is things that are just related to literally just your legs being longer, which there aren't as many things as you might expect. So sort of as a side note, sort of, or parameter, however you want to think about it, with all of these, we pretty much always ignore like health impacts and stuff. Because obviously at a certain point, if your legs are really long, they're going to be very brittle and it's going to be a bad time for everyone. So we're going to pretend that doesn't happen because
Pretty sure that's
that
like
sucks.
the first thing we mentioned in our 1 inch taller thing too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we just don't want to think about it because it's annoying and gross and not fun. So let's keep it fun. So first things first, let's talk about my legs as a point of reference. So my legs are about 31 inches long from like the hip to the ankle. And that's where divided up. It's 16 inches from my hip to my knee and then 15 from my knee to my ankle. So not quite even, but pretty close. That's kind of sort of the starting point I worked with for this question. So I know I said I wasn't going to talk about the things that we talked about with regards to height, but I did want to. I thought of another way. In my height answer, I broke basketball. I thought of a different way to break basketball with long legs. So I'm going to start off with that, actually. So in basketball.
I like how you referenced your height answer like it was like, oh yeah, we just did that last week. That was episode goddamn 1?
Yeah, that was our first episode.
It was a
literally
while
our first
ago.
episode, just like, oh yeah, the one we do all the time, like the tall one, yeah, the one
And
that
then
just happened.
we did the long arms one not that long ago, and I think in that episode you said you specifically didn't do basketball because you did it in that other episode.
To be okay, the difference is my tallness answer mostly depend on the fact that your arms also get longer. Like your wingspan had a big impact there. I thought of a different way that relies only on the length of your legs.
Okay.
So
You can kick people.
Nope, no kicking, 0 kicking. The furthest distance from the 3-point line to the hoop is 23 feet and 9 inches. And in basketball, you can move, once you have the ball, 2 steps without dribbling before you have to stop, right? So if you can figure out, how long your legs have to be for your stride length to be long enough that you can just step from outside the 3-point line to the hoop, you're once again pretty much unstoppable. So to figure this out, I measure my stride length, not just like a normal walking step, kind of a pretty beefy, not like a full lunge, but a pretty far step, right? And it was actually, interestingly enough, 31 inches, which is the same as my leg length. Didn't really expect that. That was weird, but I just assumed that would hold true as my legs got longer. That same ratio.
It's the golden ratio, Ben, of course.
Yeah,
one
of
to
course.
one. The
Yeah.
golden ratio.
Perfect. Yeah. Same thing, ratio.
It's in nature everywhere.
Yeah, it is.
Actually, did you even say what your question was? I don't think you did. You said legs.
Wait, I didn't.
He did say it. It was
I
a little
did.
buried in his qualifying and apologizing for
Okay.
it, but he did say it.
To be fair, I had to qualify and apologize because you guys started stepping on my introduction. Anyway, point
Well, I stepped
being...
in your introduction because you started apologizing and qualifying.
Yeah, I do apologize for a lot of things. Anyway, I'm sorry about that. In theory, so we have to be about 24 feet is the distance we have to sort of clear for this to really work. So once your legs are about 12 feet long, you can just take 2 steps and be basically from the backcourt all the way to the hoop. And just no one can do anything about it without fouling you. And that's going to be about 9.5 years in. So for me, it will be when I'm 38, which is a little bit old, but it'll work. Point being, once again, you can still break basketball. Just want to get that out there.
Yay.
Yay. More importantly, what are your pants going to be like? And sort of specifically, when can you no longer just buy pants off the rack? When do you have to start getting pants custom made? Which sort of something to think about when you're considering this is that it's just your legs getting longer. Nothing else dimension-wise changes. And it looks so weird, and I hate it.
So you included your hip as part of your leg?
I pretty much went... No, I went like pelvis down basically.
Okay, because I was gonna say, do your hips get longer?
No, I kind of went like your butt is the same, and then
Okay.
just the leg below that was getting longer.
Yep.
So I checked on DXL, which is a big and tall men's clothing store, to see what the longest pants they sell are. And the longest inseam they had was 40 inches, and that only lasts you until about 9 months in. However, if you buy straight leg pants, there's no shape to the legs at all. They're just straight all the way down, right? So you can still wear pants that aren't as long as your leg, as long as they're at least shorts length. So the standard shorts, the shortest standard pants inseam is 28 inches. So when your legs are about 55 inches long, which is about 2 years in, you can just wear those as shorts. The one problem is that there is this 14-month window from 9 months to 24 months where your pants aren't going to be long enough and shorts are going to be obviously way too short. So you have to either just awkwardly wear pants that are very clearly way above your ankle and capri length.
Yeah, that's.
Or
I guess
Wait,
you're
just
describing capris that
Yeah.
people wear on purpose.
Yes. Well, and so you can just wear capris and that does work. So you can actually, I think, throughout to that point, be okay and have, buyable pants, which is a nice state to be in. You do run into a problem eventually because that 40-inch inseam is going to be too short to be short still. So the inseam on shorts is usually 7 to 9 inches, and that hits an inch or so above the knee.
I mean, you really only need to cover your crotch region, right? It doesn't matter if your leg is exposed.
I mean, if you want to be the 14-foot tall guy wearing shorts all the time, I guess you can go down that route, Chris. But personally, people are going to be staring enough, okay?
Okay.
But I guess technically, yes, you could always wear a Speedo and be okay. God, I hate that image so much.
It's not really a Speedo though, because if you just crop out the bottom part of your legs, then you just look like a normal person.
I hate it. It's so
if you
bad.
take a photo and you don't take a photo of the bottom of your legs, then you look normal.
I guess that's true. As long as you can't see, yeah, I guess that's true.
Can I recommend a pants alternative?
Please do.
You know, when you have construction up on the roof of an apartment building, and they have a dumpster on at street level,
Uh-huh.
and they just have the big chute that goes from
my
the roof
God.
of the building
Those
to the
are
dumpster.
wide though. They're not only long. Your legs aren't wider.
Well, yeah, but you can do it further down. Your legs will have enough space between them that you could start with a length of shorts and then connect the garbage chutes, and then you just have these big rattly garbage chute pants, which are actually going to be pretty cool, I think.
They're gonna be so big. Can you even walk if you Where are you saying? Important question, clarifying question, Marcus. Are you saying that you have one on each leg?
Yeah.
Well, that's just untenable.
Why is that untenable?
It's way too big.
Well, I'm talking like way late game. Like,
No, I mean like width-wise. Like,
yeah,
you can't...
Your legs don't get wider.
Yeah.
but they'll be further apart.
No, they won't.
Not at the top.
Yeah, they will.
I mean, you
They
can
can't
spread
be.
out
It's
your
like
legs.
triangles work. If you have like a slight, unless your legs are literally
But
straight down.
then you have to... Yeah, when you stand, your legs are straight down. You'd have to, like, walk at an angle with your...
Yeah,
But your legs wouldn't be straight down when you're that tall, because you would just fall over.
You know, like in cartoons when cowboys like walk into a saloon and they have their legs like all out, like bent. You have to walk like that all the time. I don't want to do that. It's gonna be weird as hell.
I don't see this as a big problem, but continue your answer, Ben.
Man, I don't know. I had something about how like you can last like 4.5 years before the 40-inch inseam can't be shorts anymore. But I don't even know
You're
anymore,
tearing your
guys.
answer
Like,
apart.
you got garbage chute pants now. I feel like I don't know.
I feel like I haven't done the thing yet.
Regardless, my end point is that all this, I'm pretty sure, is actually a moot point because I'm pretty sure very early on you can't stand up anymore.
The issue I saw was that you're not going to be able to take off or put on your pants.
Oh, that is true. I didn't think about that one, actually.
Because your arms aren't long.
Yeah, your arms aren't long. That's the same problem with standing up, actually. Because thinking about the mechanics of how you stand up, any way that doesn't, like, it pretty much always involves supporting your upper body and then moving your legs under you. And I tried to figure out a way to figure out the point where you couldn't do it anymore mathematically, and I couldn't figure out exactly how to do it.
You could like do a split if you're that flexible, and then shimmy your legs your feet towards each other, and that's how you stand up.
What? No. Okay, so
full split, and then you just shimmy upward.
Yeah.
I also like the idea that your split is going to take up like 50 feet.
It's your only option. You got to do it.
So, I mean, okay, I guess technically, if you had a crane, you would hold on to the crane with your hands, and they'd slowly raise it, and you just, like, let your legs drift up. But that's kind of, you can't stand up under your own power anymore. Is there any way, like, this feels like a ridiculous question, is there any way that you stand up that doesn't involve using your arms? And, like, supporting yourself?
My shimmy technique.
No, okay,
You
we're going to ignore the shimmy
go to
technique.
sleep on the roof of a building, and then you just slide your legs down through the tubes to get your garbage chute pants going, and it solves both your problems.
You crawl to a really big cliff, and then hang your legs off.
That is technically an option. Could you crawl up a ladder? You have to have a lot of upper body strength.
Your legs wouldn't bend, like you'd only bend at the knee, right?
No, but I mean, like if you were lying on the ground, like lying on like face down, it would take an impossible amount of upper body strength.
You'd have to have a really strong core.
Yeah, because you have to literally pull yourself up and support yourself through your core the entire time.
Yeah.
You live near the ocean, and you swim out far enough to see that you can just stand in the ocean and then walk back.
God, is that actually the best option?
You act like I don't come up with good ideas.
I mean, well, anyway, I'm
I
glad
like you didn't
laughed
have a
at that.
rebuttal there.
Yeah. Yeah. That was the end point of mine, because, like, I guess technically we have brainstormed some ideas on how you can stand up with very long legs. But aside from the whole, like, storing yourself problem because you're very long, like, just literally staying up is going to require outside assistance. I think pretty early on, right? Like, I think even once your legs are, maybe 2 feet longer than current, I don't think you can just stand up naturally. Just, like, thinking about it mechanically. Maybe I want to, like, try shit now, but I can't because I'm recording a podcast.
Also, your legs, you can't just make your legs 2 feet longer.
Well, in the mind palace, Marcus, in the mind palace.
Are you gonna are you gonna find a ladder and try to pull yourself up it?
I want to. Sounds like a great workout.
When you say I want to try something, do you mean think about it? Like, hold on, guys, let me try something.
Well,
and then you just sit there and think about it for a minute?
like, I need to try ways of staying up and then imagine that my legs are longer as I'm doing it and see if it would still work.
You could try
Okay.
my shimmy technique.
Can you? We're not shimmying from a split, Chris.
It'll work.
Can you get on one knee? Is it possible to get on one knee somehow?
Not if... I mean, at some point it is, but then at some point it isn't.
That's That's very okay. We're way in the weeds.
Yeah,
this
you know what?
episode is way off the rails.
You know what? It's hard to
and-
stand up. Done. Hey, Chris, what did you do?
So I did not look at pants or legs or anything lower body related. I looked at your hair. So my question was, what if your hair was uncuttable? So my first thing that I looked at when I asked this question was, does your hair stop growing? Because if it doesn't stop growing, then you're just going to have infinitely long hair, or not infinite, but until you die, you're going to have like Rapunzel style hair. I want to see if that would actually happen. And the answer is no, because your hair actually does stop growing at some point. So the way that hair growth works is it goes through, each individual hair goes through a cycle. And the first phase of the cycle is called the anagen phase. And this is like the phase where the hair grows, where like it's still connected to the stuff in your head that like supplies nutrients to it, so it still grows. And the length of this phase varies a lot. They said that the average is around like 2 to 7 years. So it's a really big range. And your arm, oh, I do mention legs. Your arm and leg hairs.
Look like you made a fool of yourself this time, Chris.
I know. I saw the word leg in my notes. I was like, oh. Yeah, so the hair on your arms and legs, and also like your eyebrows and stuff, they have a shorter anagen phase. So that's why your hairs on those parts of your body are shorter. And those average around like 30 to 45 days. So the next phase after the anagen phase is the catagen phase. So this is when the root of the hair is cut off from the blood supply and like all the nutrients. So your hair stops growing and it becomes what they call a club hair. Not exactly, I guess they call it a club hair because the root of the hair becomes like keratinized tissue stuff and it forms like a bulb shape or like a club shape. So the catagen phase lasts around 3 weeks. And it sort of acts as a transition from the anagen phase to the third phase, which is the telogen phase. So the telogen phase is just when the hair is completely dead and it easily falls out. So if you like brush it, then it'll just come out. Then after a telogen phase, your hair follicle, it cycles back to the anagen phase and the cycle continues. A new hair grows. So for the average person, about 50 hairs fall out every day. And stress can end the anagen phase earlier than normal, and this causes a lot of hair to fall out at once. So if you're really stressed out, then that's why you lose hair. So if you can't cut your hair, it will keep on growing, but eventually it will fall out on its own. So you won't get Rapunzel style hair. So I wanted to see what actually affects the maximum length of your hair. What affects like when it falls out. There are a few different factors. So there's health, age, and season. So if you're healthier and if you like take care of your hair better, then it grows faster. If it's like a warmer or more humid climate, then your hair grows faster. And if you're younger, or if once you get older, then your hair starts to grow slower. So those are some of the things that affect the maximum length of your hair. But the main thing is really just genetics. So like the length of the anagen phase just depends on your genes. But they say that the average growth rate of your hair is around, it varies a lot again, but it's around 1 centimeter per month. And the average maximum hair length is around 40 inches or 3'4".
Oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah, so it's not too long. So again, we're not really going to get the Rapunzel style hair. At least most people aren't, but there are exceptions. It's still possible to grow super long hair in some cases. So I wanted to try to find these cases. So I looked at the world records according to the Guinness World Records. And the longest head hair, like hair growing from your head, is a woman in China, Xia Qiuping. They measured it in 2004. I guess that was like when they officially measured it. And it's 18 feet, 5 inches long.
Jesus.
Wow.
That's like
I don't
what?
I don't believe she's cut it since then. So it might be longer than that now. That was in 2004 they measured it, so I don't know. She said that she started growing it in 1973 when she was 13 years old, and she just never cut it. So it's long.
Yeah, 18 feet is long.
I'm just trying
I thought like the record was gonna be like to ankle length or something. Like,
Nope. To give context to the length, it's almost as long as the height of an adult giraffe. So,
gosh.
yeah. Gosh. Yeah, so it is kind of Rapunzel length hair. I don't know how long Rapunzel's hair is in the stories, like the official length, but it seems to be in the range.
Well, I mean, in like the modern reimagining, when she's like in a third-story apartment in Brooklyn, it works.
Yeah, exactly. You can let your hair down from a window as long as the window is like a second or third story window, so it counts.
So that's hair from your head, but I also want to look at other body hair. So I looked at the longest mustache, because in the case of men, your facial hair is going to grow too, and you also can't cut it. So if the maximum length of your hair is this long, then it's going to be this long. So the longest mustache is from a man in India. His name is Ram Singh Chauhan. I'm probably not pronouncing that right, but the mustache is 14 feet long. Still very, very long.
That's ridiculous. Like 14 feet from your face?
Yeah. He measured that sort of a while ago. So he measured it in 2010. He said he started growing it in 1970, and he was actually in the Bond movie Octopussy. So I guess it kind of made him famous. He's had some success with his long mustache. Since I'm looking at mustaches, I also looked at beards. The longest beard is a man in Norway named Hans N. Langseth, and his beard is 17'6". It was measured upon his death in 1927, so also very long, almost as long as the woman with the long head hair.
Is it bad that all I want to do is just like tie the ends of these people's hairs together and have them like duke it out?
Okay. Sure.
You just tie like the ends of the one guy's mustache to the ends of the other guy's beard, and then they just then they have to duke
fight?
it out. Yeah.
I mean, what's the point in tying their hair together? They can still move pretty far away from each other.
I mean, it's probably what's gonna end up in like the Jigsaw movie, like 13 or whatever, wherever they end up, when they run out of other ideas to keep people trapped.
I mean, they would just cut their hair, right?
But what if it was uncuttable?
Like the first Saw movie was him cutting off his leg, and they've escalated to cutting off your hair.
It's like when he's like, just like where he's like gives up on the whole thing, where it's like the guy like shaves off his beard. It's like, oh damn, yeah, I didn't think about that one. All right, good job, guys. You appreciate life now or whatever.
Yeah, so those are the longest hair lengths, and for the sake of this hypothetical, I'm gonna say that I can achieve these lengths. If I can't cut my hair, then I'm gonna get this super long hair. So what exactly can I do with long hair? Because I gotta use it for something. And the obvious thing that I went to right away was use it as rope, because that's what Rapunzel does. She pulls things with it. So I wanted to use its tensile strength, and I wanted to see how strong hair actually is, how much it could actually carry. And to figure this out, again, it varies a lot depending on the type of hair, just like everything else with hair varies a lot. But I found a YouTube video of a guy he started taping like pennies to the end of a strand of hair. I don't know exactly where he got the hair because it didn't look like his hair, but he got it from somewhere. And the single strand of hair that he got could carry 22 pennies. So he weighed the pennies, and it was around 60 grams. So if we shed 50 hairs per day, which is the average, that means that we shed enough hair every day to lift 6.6 pounds. So it's a decent amount. It's not like over the top, I guess, but it's pretty impressive. But since this is just a YouTube video, and it's not really that scientific, I went to a more scientific source, Wikipedia.
Yeah! Important.
Yeah. And Wikipedia says that human hair has an ultimate tensile strength of around 200 to 250 megapascals, which is about as strong as copper, and it's a little weaker than aluminum. So there actually is a person in real life that makes rope out of human hair. Actually don't know if it's a he or she. It's San Visser. I don't know if that's a male or female name, but yeah, they make rope out of human hair, and it's more of a novelty thing because it's not really practical. If we're talking about practical, we have way better options. So we make rope out of steel and nylon. Those are both way stronger than hair.
And rope?
Well, rope
What is a rope?
isn't a material. Rope is like material that's weaved together.
But what's like a brown ass rope made out of?
There are different types. I think one of the more common ones is hemp. But there are other ones too.
I think a lot of time it is usually like natural fibers like that, right?
Yeah. But like nylon is a pretty common one too.
Yeah. Manila hemp, linen, cotton,
Yeah.
jute? They're making up things.
Okay. I didn't actually look up the strength of those types of rope. But we have nylon and steel, which is way stronger. So we have other options that are way better, especially since we have to wait for our hair to grow. And it's really like if we're trying to sell rope, then we don't want to wait like a year to get one rope. So it's not really a practical option for us. So I started looking at other options, and I started thinking about how human ancestors had way more body hair than we do now. And it was mainly to keep us warm during like cold climates. And hair is particularly good at that because it contains keratin, which makes it a good insulator. So instead of making rope out of my hair, I want to make clothes out of my hair. Just like for myself, I guess.
Do you though? Like, were you too busy worrying about if you could that you didn't worry about whether you should?
I should, and I will. And I'm not the only one that thinks this, because apparently there is someone that actually does this. I don't think from her own hair, but it's from real human hair. She makes clothes of human hair. And the article that I read, I think the interviewer asked why she does this, and she said it's because it's controversial. So it's really just an art piece kind of thing, but it functions like clothes just fine, so why not? So I wanted to figure out if I would have enough hair to make a full outfit for myself, so I don't have to wear any clothes at all. So the human body has 20 square feet of skin, so I have to cover that amount of skin with my hair. The diameter of hair varies a lot, just like every other property of hair, apparently. And the diameter of hair ranges from 17 to 181 micrometers. And a common nominal value that people that study hair use is 75 micrometers, so that's what I used. And the average human has around 100,000 hairs on their head. So if you align each of those hairs side by side next to each other in just like one sheet of hair, it will be 24 feet wide. And then the length is just the world record length of 18 feet. So that means that my hair covers an area of 432 square feet, which means that I can cover my body in hair 21 times.
I hate this.
I don't think that's how. I think there's definitely something in the shirt making process that's missing from those numbers. But I feel like you have enough hair.
Yeah, I have enough hair. And if I actually, because I assume I'm going to be like weaving my hair together, if I weave it all together in 21 layers of hair, it'll be 1.5 millimeters thick. So I wanted to see, like, is this a reasonable thickness for like shirts and stuff and clothes? So a dress shirt ranges from 0.5 millimeters to 0.38 millimeters thick, depending on the material, and cotton falls on the lower end of that range. So I'm like 10 times that thickness, so I think we're good with hair. And if we're not good and I want more hair, I also have my mustache and my beard, so we can add those in.
Okay.
So that's basically what my plan is. I'm going to weave an entire outfit. Maybe it'll be a onesie, because why not? And eventually it'll all still be attached to my head because I can't cut it. But eventually it'll fall out and it'll become its own separate outfit from myself. Or I could just keep on continuously weaving my new hairs into it and it can grow bigger and bigger and bigger. I have options.
I hate this so much. This makes me like viscerally upset, Chris.
Yeah, I'm like trying to like add some fun commentary in here, but I just don't like thinking about it. So my brain just keeps going to other things, anything else, rainbows and, you know, puppies and cute little kittens, because it doesn't want to think about that.
Well, good news for you, because I'm done with my answer, so you can think about whatever your question was.
Well, I'm sure mine's going to be a lot less on the mental image scale, because mine is, what if your neck got 1 inch longer every month?
It'd be I was gonna make a giraffe joke, but then I realized that's not. Never mind.
Don't worry, I'm gonna talk about giraffes, of course. It's just we'll get there. Just
Okay.
wait for the giraffe facts. But before we get to kind of giraffe levels of nonsense, kind of the first thing I thought about was eating, because you do need to, a big part of eating is, getting food in your hands into your face. And if your face keeps getting further and further away, it gets harder and harder to do that. Your arms are only so long. So this won't be a problem right away. You have a fair amount of, flexibility, I'm sure, with your neck, that I'm not sure exactly when the arc of your neck. I tried to look at a giraffe neck to see how flexible they were and like what their range of motion would be to see where you would have a disconnect with the hands. But for some reason, that information does not exist anywhere. People have not studied giraffes enough. But what I kind of decided was, hey, if your neck is really, really long, assuming you just can't reach it with your hands, what do you do then? And so the first thing I was like, well, just eat everything through a straw. Because you could just have, you could eat a liquid diet of soups and things, and you could just suck it up with a straw, and you'd be good. It turns out there's actually an upper limit of how much you can suck up a straw. And it's not actually based on how strong your lungs are, really, but with how straws work, in a physics sense. So you actually, as a regular person, can suck things up a straw quite a distance. The upper limit is about 30 feet. So kind of the way it works is the way the straw works is that there's a pressure differential between like where you're sucking and, the other side of the straw and the liquid, the liquid bath. And it's actually not so much about you creating negative pressure, but basically creating no pressure. It's like you're effectively making a vacuum when you suck up a straw. So the only force you have pushing the water up the straw is the atmospheric pressure. And so after about 30 feet is where you kind of hit an equalization point. And 33 feet would be where if you're able to create a perfect vacuum, then that's how much the pressure would allow the water to go up the straw. So if your neck is more than 30 feet, which would be after, 30 or so years, because you get a foot per year. So after about a little over 30 years, straws are no longer a great option for you. You can't just put your soup down and suck it up. You could extend your neck, outward, and you could. But now you're setting up another picnic table that's halfway, 20 feet away from you, and then just eating your food there, which is gonna be. You can do it, but I really think the solution here is don't put the straw down to the bowl. Bring the bowl up to you. And you just do a modified beer hat and just carry all your liquids and everything in there.
I was going to say, what if you have a Capri Sun style pouch? Then you don't have that atmospheric pressure thing anymore, and it's just a vacuum.
Yeah, you could do you could generate pressure in other ways. You could get a motorized straw. We have lots of ways of getting liquid up 30 feet.
The idea of a motorized straw is incredible to me, and I love it. I know this is what it would look like, but in my mind, it's just like a straw just made out of spinning gears.
But yeah, it's just you think you're cool with your metal straw, kids. Well, look at mine.
Right, yeah.
And you having a ripcord with it, like a lawnmower. But I did look a little bit into into things that weren't great about having a long neck, and the way I kind of went through that is by, of course, looking at the giraffes that I promised. So before we get into the stuff relevant to my question, we're going to go through the giraffe fun facts. So one thing I found interesting was that giraffes are kind of unique as an animal because they're really one of the few animals that is just this big, tall, giant thing. No other animals really bother to do that. And so there's actually, I'm not sure how hotly it's contested, but there is a debate about why giraffes have long necks. And the basic Darwin theory is, hey, giraffes have long necks because the giraffes with longer necks could reach the top of the trees easier, and they would outcompete shorter animals for food because they could get food that the other animals didn't have access to. Interestingly, they're not quite sure about that because in the times where food's actually competitive for giraffes, like in the lean times, what they're fighting over isn't the leaves at the top of the trees. It's actually the stuff bushes at knee level. So if there's ample food, then yeah, like the tall giraffes have a slight advantage, but it's not going to make or break the whether that giraffe lives or dies. So the zoologist Robert Simmons and Lou Sheepers have proposed an alternate hypothesis about why giraffes have long necks. And, quote, the alternative, suggested Simmons and Sheepers, is that long necks have been sexually selected. This idea has become known as the necks for sex hypothesis. So basically, it's not about eating leaves. It's about girl giraffes being like, man, I love them long necks.
I mean,
until you have very tall giraffes.
You know what they say about guys with big necks? I don't know what they say about guys with big necks.
I would say, whoa, that guy's neck is big.
It's mostly what they say about guys with big necks.
Second giraffe fun fact here is 50% of male giraffes bone other male giraffes.
Wait, is this a real fact?
That's a real fact.
What?
50% of male giraffes are just like, yeah, why not?
Huh.
Not exclusively.
Interesting.
Like, they're bi.
Right, yeah.
But maybe because it's just giraffes just look very similar, both sexes. I don't know.
Can they just not see, like, the parts from up there? I don't...
They can crane under and get a look, I'm sure. No, I can't believe that. But yeah, that was just those are my fun giraffe facts. The necks for sex hypothesis, and half of them are bisexual. Or half the males are bisexual, so at least a quarter of them are bisexual. But kind of really where I was going with the giraffes was where I was trying to find out the range of motion, because I was like, well, if our neck keeps getting longer and longer and longer, it might be as long as a giraffe neck, but will it be as flexible? Because, bones. And funnily, it turns out giraffes actually have the same number of neck bones as we do. They're just longer. And the number is just 7. Just 7 neck bones in a whole giraffe.
Really?
So you would think, like, when you see the giraffe like move their neck around, it looks like very fluid.
It looks bendy.
But just the way they're built, like, that gives them enough flexibility to do whatever they need to. I guess if you think about how flexible your arm is, it's only got, like, really 2 bones that count. So if you added, 5 more arm segments. Sorry, my answer's getting weird too here. This wasn't a planned mental image, but there you go.
With the long grab bag, that things would get weird.
So our necks are still quite flexible, which does not, preclude us from having some problems. First and foremost is the kind of 2 problems you're going to run into are balance and strength, where your head has now become this, pretty decent weight at the end of a very long stick of your neck. So you're going to have to your neck muscles are going to have to really adapt with it. And balance is going to become a real issue because you're just going to be so top heavy that it's going to be tricky not to just look left and fall over. I guess you'll have to eventually carry around like some counterweights, like get a big heavy backpack that you carry around to just kind of lower your center of gravity enough that you can, look around corners or whatever you need to do. But the real gotcha for this in real life would be blood pressure. So a giraffe, because it's so tall, in order to pump blood all the way up to its tiny little head, their blood pressure is actually double ours, which is a lot. It doesn't sound like that much, but like even mammals as a whole, like double blood pressure is crazy. They have things that giraffes have that we don't have. Is they have special blood vessels that, one, resist that blood pressure so they don't literally explode from the inside out. The other thing they have is if they put their head down, not only is their blood pressure generally doubled, you're also pooling all that blood, into the head. Like if you stay upside down, you can feel your head like ready to explode. The blood pressure increases. That would be amplified a lot.
You've been saying the word explode a lot.
I mean,
well, you would. Podcast. This is what would happen.
You're alluding. I assume you're alluding to what would happen to us.
Yeah, I'm saying if you don't have these things that this giraffe has, you explode. Giraffes have special neck valves that reduce the blood flow if they put their head down to drink water. We don't have those. If you did that, your head would explode.
How surprising.
Also, generally, even if it wasn't with your head bending down, giraffes' legs, actually, they almost act, because they're so tall, the bottom of the legs actually almost acts like a pressure suit where it, maintains a pressure against the blood vessels to prevent blood from kind of pooling in the legs so they don't just, have a bunch of blood pooled up down there. which would also increase the blood pressure and cause your legs to explode.
So Ben left that out.
I said I was ignoring health problems. That is, I believe anything involving the word exploding and your body is a health problem. I'm going to go ahead and say.
Also, additional fun fact about the veins in the giraffe legs is that the veins are actually really not they're really close to like the inside of the leg. They keep them away from the surface, because if a giraffe, gets a good cut at its leg level, even though they have all these things to prevent that, they would lose a lot of blood just from, like, imagine just a balloon that you poke a little hole, there's a leak at the bottom of it. It's just a lot of blood's gonna seep out. So even if you didn't explode, if you got a cut on your body anywhere, it would just keep bleeding. And then the last thing that giraffes have is their giraffe eyes don't succumb to hypertension, which is basically when your vision kind of blacks out when your blood pressure's too high in your eyeballs. So again, your eyes might explode. There's a lot of bad exploding going on.
You don't know what age this would happen, do you?
Well, a giraffe is about 20.
Did you actually say that it's an inch every month?
I did.
Oh, you did. I guess I just wasn't listening.
We're very unsure about the statement of our questions this time, apparently.
Mainly me. I'm unsure.
I think we just showed up to this one to have a bit of fun.
Yeah.
All three of us. A giraffe is like 15 to 20 feet according to a brief Google. So you'll have to have the same head of pressure at 15 to 20 feet. So
But I assume you'd explode before that.
12 years, you'd be where you have double blood pressure. And anything after that just makes it worse and worse and worse and worse. So again, we ignore these things because you would just explode. So assuming you don't explode and you can support your head weight and it looks like it, you would imagine it looking if you had a 30-foot long neck that worked. What can you do with that? And I think basically where you add value is jobs where your head can come in handy. So things you can do with a cool hat is kind of what you want to, is where I'm looking. For example, if you put like a roller on your hat, you could be a painter, because you would save a lot of time not having to set up ladders and all that. You could just, paint the walls while your head goes and, paints the ceiling, and you just kind of sweep your head around the room and get that going. You could be, like, for sports, you could be a cameraman. You would basically be, like, your own mobile camera crane. All you have to do is, like, put on one of those headband GoPros, and you can, like, get right into that action. And my last one here, which I think is probably both the best and the worst one, is you get, like, some kind of brushes and things in your hat, and you could be a chimney sweep. Your head is perfect for being a chimney sweep.
So do you do it... Hold on. Do you do it from the roof, or do you do it from the fireplace?
I imagine you do it from the bottom.
Well, if you do it from the roof, you're putting your head lower than your body, which we already know causes you to explode. So we'll probably start at the ground floor.
You're gonna explode no matter what.
So yeah, you could be a chimney sweep with a brush hat. But really, once you get long term, like once your neck is like 20, 30 feet,
you could wear a garbage chute.
You can just pick things up with your teeth off the top of the roof and bring it down. Yeah, again, I think your biggest problem is going to be actually just that balance, because if your head is just like 1 foot to the left or something, the wind pushes against your head, like you're just falling over. You cannot balance yourself. So what you need is a bigger base. So I think what you do is you just have a car and you put your neck out the skylight and just strap yourself in. And now you've got a pretty good base that's also mobile. Although I will admit, you can't really go very fast because the wind, if you tried to drive, at 30 miles an hour, the wind pressure would push your neck just straight backwards, and it would just be trailing your car like a flag, like a long tubular, like one of those long tube flags that you see on boats.
You could be a flagpole.
You could be a flagpole. That is the one other option for your career. And I think with that, I can say that my answer wasn't better than either of your two answers, and none of our answers were particularly good. So maybe we can bring it around with the Would You Rather. What do you guys think?
That sounds good.
My idea was good.
Ben, are you ready for a Would You Rather question?
I suppose.
Would you rather always talk like Goofy or always talk like Mickey Mouse?
Oh, all right.
Gorge, this is a tricky one, ain't it?
Oh, I hate this.
So do we automatically gain the ability to do these? Because I don't think I can actually do them.
Yeah, you just sound like them.
Okay.
There's no like talking like Mickey Mouse would make my throat hurt if I actually did it. That's not gonna happen.
Well,
right?
is that like
It's
your
just-
natural voice, or
It's
do
your
you
natural
actually?
Yeah, say it's your natural voice.
Okay. So I feel like you're gonna have a lot fewer misunderstandings as Mickey Mouse, right?
Mm,
I'm not sure. The high pitch is pretty high.
yeah. I mean, it's not hard to understand Goofy, I don't think. He just has like a sort of strange accent.
Yeah. I guess in my mind it's like if you have that, I don't know. Cuz it's not like an actual accent, right? It's a Goofy accent. That's the thing. Like it's not like there's a place on earth that talks like that and he sounds like that, like he came from that place. He just sounds like Goofy, right? You can just
Yeah,
have
like
a
if you
high-pitched
were-
voice.
Right. But like Mickey Mouse's voice is very, very high pitched. Unnaturally high pitched.
It is. I used to be able to do it, but I haven't done it in a long time, and I don't want to try to break it out right now. Just I'll swear.
Well, we can edit it out if it's really bad, Ben.
Oh, I can't do it anymore.
I was gonna say I can't physically do that with my voice.
Hold on, I'm gonna mute myself for a second. Hold on.
Yeah, his laugh is like, ha.
Yeah, I can't do that. Like my voice box doesn't do that.
All right, I think I can normally.
Well, screw you guys. I'm Mickey Mouse now.
I think I can normally do it, but my there's just so enough pollen in the air right now that my allergies have been acting up a little bit, and my voice just like my throat is just like, yeah, fuck you, no.
Oh, blame the pollen because you're a little bitch, huh?
Yes, yes, exactly. See, okay, if you sounded like that, that is still like.
Do you have to do the haha?
Ha.
Oh,
Yeah,
think that's
your
part
laugh
of
is
it.
replaced by that.
oh,
Well,
that's
he
really
doesn't-
unfortunate.
He doesn't do it when he like that's part of his sentence structure.
It's like for accenting, right?
Yeah, he accentuates things. Like it's like just the end of the sentence that he adds it on.
Oh, I feel like I still feel like talking like Mickey Mouse is going to be less weird than talking like Goofy.
Really?
Because even though Goofy is a more natural sounding, like just literal voice with a weird accent, I still feel like if you talk like Mickey Mouse and do the, you know, ho-hos, as you will.
Do the ho hos.
I don't know. What do you call that? Is it, because it's not really a laugh. I don't know. Anyway, point being, like, people will think you just have this voice and you're rolling with it, right? But if you talk like Goofy, I don't know. I just feel like a much bigger jump because it's just kind of a normal voice that you're doing something really weird with.
See, personally, their voices, I find Mickey Mouse's voice annoying, and I find Goofy's voice endearing. I mean,
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
Oh,
It's
that's
warm.
fair.
Goofy is a warm
it makes me
voice.
like him better.
It is warm.
Like, Goofy is a very likable character, and I think a lot of that has to do with his voice.
I need to listen to Goofy.
Yeah, Ben, just imagine like I'm your dad.
Please don't do that.
Mickey Mouse, I mean,
You want to go play some catch in the backyard?
God, I hate this so much.
I really don't like all the more recent Mickey Mouse stuff. I like older Mickey Mouse.
When he didn't talk?
Yeah, when he didn't talk.
It's in
I
the
like-
silent era.
Right. But now that he
Yeah,
has a
I
voice,
think
I don't
it's-
like him.
He's very the Mickey Mouse voice. I think gets grating very fast.
It definitely does.
I can't imagine. Like I would rather be Goofy's personality than Mickey Mouse's personality because you basically have to match the voice that you're saying. Like you will eventually become known personality wise as either a Mickey Mousey or Goofy, just because the voice fits their personas too much. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's fair.
Like regardless of what you say as either of them, the tone will be their personalities.
Why do none of these YouTube videos have Goofy talking?
Just look up the Goofy movie.
But the only one I'm finding is like the sing-along. God damn it! Hold on.
Just look up scenes from the Goofy movie.
Why? Okay. Oh, God. Hold on. You're right. Okay. Oh, hold on. Goofy movie.
Great movie, by the way. That's a classic
It is.
movie.
It is. Man, that is a voice right there.
He does swallow his words a lot. Like
I guess it is just like a weird southern accent, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you had to equate it to a real accent, Southern accent's probably the closest.
Yeah.
All right, I think we've gone through enough, and I'm sure you guys have heard enough of my terrible impressions. So
I'm choosing Goofy. He's just a more likable character, I think.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Goofy too.
it's got to be Goofy, and I don't think it's particularly close.
After listening to Goofy, it's not as bad as I expected. I don't think I've heard Goofy in a while.
All right, and with that, we have other stuff. We still have things. We need to do our Patreon. Should I do the Patreon in Goofy's voice?
Please do.
If you want to, sure.
Gosh, well, if you liked that episode,
You know what? I regret this.
Too late.
Go to www.patreon.com/absurdhypotheticals and click on that Become a Patron button. Yup.
Oh yeah, he does
It's
do
just
that.
$1. And Chris, you have something too. Can you do it in the Mickey Mouse voice, please?
I'm not going to do that because I physically can't. So the other thing I want to promote was a thing that I've taken part in recently. Me and a group of other authors, I think there are like 14 other authors, we all got together and we wrote a bunch of short stories all within the same shared universe, and we collected them into an anthology book called Beyond the Galaxy. So the story itself, or the universe that we created, it all chronicles a war between two alien races, and then Earth is sort of caught in the middle. And then each chapter or each short story that everyone wrote covers a unique perspective of that war. My contribution to that follows an Amish family who discovers alien wreckage that has crashed onto their property. And since they're Amish and they have certain restrictions based on technology, they have to discuss what they want to do with that, and sort of conflict occurs from that. And the cool thing about this project is that it's on Amazon, so Amazon gets a cut, but then after they take their cut, the remaining proceeds go to charity. So we chose a nonprofit organization called Tech Bridge Girls, and they focus on STEM programming for young girls in low-income communities, just to get young girls more interested in science and engineering and those types of fields, just to generate more interest in that kind of stuff. So I think this is a good cause to support. If you want to support it, you can buy the book at Amazon. There's a link in the description, or you can probably just search Beyond the Galaxy Anthology and it'll come up. Or if you just want to donate directly to Tech Bridge Girls, you can go to their website. It's techbridgegirls.org. I'll also put a link to that in the description as well. So generally, that's kind of in theme with our podcast. We like to promote science and learning and all of that jazz. So
Learning in the broadest sense of the term.
learning about long necks, I guess.
Hey, I mean, it's I went to college in a in technical fields, did my master's, and now I know 50% of giraffe boys are bisexual. So it's important that we do these things. But yeah, excellent cause. Go do that. Give them our $1, or give both of us $1, or more dollars. It's really up to you. But in any case, after you're done giving out all your dollars, feel free to come back next week and join us for the following question. What if everyone was only an inch tall?